Well, good evening and welcome to Down the Road with Joel Heitkamp. I'm Tyler Axness, filling in for Joel Heitkamp. He'll be back in a few days as we do approach the beginning of July. Summer fast moving by, and that means we got a lot to cover. As the drought continues, we're going to be talking about what that means for your fireworks displays. We've got the Derek Chauvin sentencing that wrapped up last Friday. Got a trial attorney on to break that down, while there are still some federal charges pending and what that might mean for the former Minneapolis police officer charged with murder. And ultimately, we are going to be wrapping up right here in the city of Fargo where I'm sitting. The legislative session did wrap up a few months ago, but some of the changes there, in fact, have impacted some city ordinances. One of those, the city of Fargo decided to sue and take to court the state of North Dakota. It has to do with gun and ammunition sales from a person's home business. We're going to have John Strand, the Fargo City Commissioner, on to break all that down. But as I was saying, we are fast approaching July. And with that comes our Independence Day, July 4th, one of the top-notch holidays on my book. You can put it right in the top three for me. That also means the first time in at least about 2 years since we've been able to really gather for that celebration. And one of those big celebrations that the entire state knows about is out in Bismarck and, quite frankly, and out in Mandan. And joining us right now to tell you about something that's coming back after the last year, Marlo Anderson. He is one of the Mandan Parade organizers and, quite frankly, involved in so many other things that we'll talk about in just a few moments here. Marlo, I appreciate you joining us on Down the Road. How are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Tyler. Thanks for having me on today.
Well, I appreciate you taking time. I know we're fast approaching the 4th of July. Mandan's parade, I think many describe as pretty much being the state's parade. I think it's one from all corners of the state think about, well, if we want to go to a parade, it's Mandan.
Yeah, it seems to be that way, and I expect that we'll have a better than average crowd this year due to the fact that we weren't here last year.
That had to be a tough decision. I mean, understandably so. A lot of these, fireworks displays, the parades, the celebrations, the concerts, all that had to be put on hold because we were in the midst of that pandemic. That hasn't, it hasn't just disappeared, but certainly we're on the tail end, hopefully, of that, especially here in North Dakota. So you've had a whole year. There was the disappointment in the decision that had to be made to cancel.
Right.
Tell me what people can expect this time around.
Yeah, it's just a return to normal. Is more than anything else. Our theme this year is those who serve. So you're going to see a lot of our first responders, those who have served, in the military. Will have a very heavy influence on this year's parade. So that'll be great that we can honor these people.
Well, and those are the individuals that, didn't get last year off. They weren't able to work from home as many people had to adjust to. They were out there dealing with, the ambulance rides, putting fires out, the law enforcement. I mean, there is not an opportunity or an option for them to be working from home to avoid the contact. That was, quite frankly, what led to the cancellation of the events last year. So, how fitting going into this year that it's after this last year to honor exactly those individuals that really were out there. Yep. On the front lines. Describe a little bit for me. I know you've got the parade. I know that I've been to that parade. It is a big event. I mean, the floats that go in there, the whole coordination to get from A to B. There's a lot more that goes on aside from just that early morning parade. Talk about the day's activities for me. Yeah,
we have, of course, there's Art in the Park. That starts on Saturday, and that will be on top of everything else. The downtown Mandan area is under construction right now. I mean, the park that we normally have Art in the Park in is being redone. It'll be great for next year, but this year it's being moved a little bit. You can still come to the same area, so wherever you normally park is fine. Just know that you're going to have to probably go another block, to the east of where it normally is. Of course, the rodeo. The world's longest running rodeo will be held July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, so this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you want to come in a little bit earlier, take advantage of that. It looks like it's going to be an amazing rodeo this year.
Well, and you were mentioning that one of those parks under construction, and we all know the joke about North Dakota's got 2 seasons. We have winter and construction season, and if you've driven anywhere on say, one of the interstates or major highways, or quite frankly in any of the major metros, you know that that's holding very true this year. But people are pretty well understanding because, you know what, we live here. It's just part of what it all entails. You mentioned that it's going to be a fun rodeo, going to be a beautiful. Looking at the forecast, we're going to be talking with one of the forest directors about this because, if people are like me that like to get their own fireworks and go shoot those off this year with that drought, might want to change some of those plans. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I mean, the weather out in Mandan is going to be a beautiful time to really take all this in, Marlo.
It really is. It looks like the weather's going to really cooperate, probably a little on the warm side. So be prepared for that. Dress accordingly. Also bring some sunscreen and make sure you have water or other beverages. Maybe not the adult kind of beverages if you're looking to hydrate, but you know that happens on the parade route as well.
Yeah, and responsibly. I mean,
Yes,
you know, that's why
absolutely.
you have the water in between if that's in case what you want to be doing. Because yeah, it is going to be hot. I mean, we're talking, you know, 80s, 90s, depending on what part of the state you're watching this across the statewide network of Beck TV. But you know what? I mean, congratulations. Explain the organization that goes into this. It's not just one person sitting in a studio saying, all right, well, you know, this is what time this is going to start. Here's the route. Is there sponsors? Is there other people that need to get a shout out of bringing this back after the year that was forced down?
Yeah, our major sponsor for the parade this year is Kramer Chevrolet, formerly Cooper. They've been a big parade sponsor for many, many years. And we didn't used to have that, by the way, but because of that sponsorship, we're able to have porta potties and all that stuff. You know, things that are essential to have out there when you have 50 or 100,000 people gathering, you know. So big shout out to them. And, you know, we have so many people. It's hard to even thank all the people because there are hundreds of people that volunteer behind the scenes to put this together.
Marlo, repeat that for me. Did you say 50 to 100,000? Is that what we expect to show up on this Sunday for this parade? Is that typical what Mandan gets? I mean, I know I've been in the parade before. I know that you can see people for miles and miles. Is that typically what we end up getting is between 50 and 100?
You know, I've had people, we've never counted it. Sure. One of these days we probably need to do that. We have counted how many people we have in the parade, and typically that's over 5,000 people just in the parade itself.
Wow.
So then you take that, you know, to the audience that is over 3 miles, and of course the streets are packed the entire way. So someday we'll have to get out a bean counter and see if we can actually count the people that come in. But it is considered one of the largest single-day events in the state. And you know, if you're going to come in, and you know, I don't want to scare people with the construction part, but they plan to have everything cleaned up. The construction will continue on, but they're going to clear the streets in time for our 4th of July celebration. So you shouldn't have to deal with too much construction in town.
Very good. People just plan ahead is pretty much, I think, what is going to come down to.
Give yourself plenty of time.
Yeah,
Take it easy. I mean, that's the whole point of the day anyway. You know, be patient with other people. Just come out and enjoy the day, and be thankful that we can actually be out and together to celebrate our Independence Day this year.
Final question I have for you, and we've avoided it because it's going to be a topic that I get into next, is fireworks displays. I know the Capitol out there across the river, they've had displays before. Is there any rumblings about what that might look like? Is that a go? Is that on pause because of the severe drought that the state is in, Marlo?
So I know Mandan's having their 4th of July fireworks. I believe Bismarck is too, but you may want to verify that. You know, they're taking some special precautions. I know we have I think we have a fire crew on standby out at the grounds just in case something were to flare up. But I think as of right now, there is no other fireworks allowed in our area. In fact, I was really surprised. I don't think the sale of fireworks has been banned. However, I have yet to see a fireworks stand set up.
Really?
So, yeah, I'm really, really surprised by that, because usually people will still set up, because here we can shoot them off in January as well for New Year's Eve.
Well, I can tell you in the metro area that I am sitting in, that I now have called home for about 16 years, it's banned to shoot them off in town, and I can tell you it has not prevented those that want to do it anyway.
That is true, and you're right, and that might be leading some of the fireworks stands to just say we're just not going to do it this year.
Yeah, it's just such a unique situation, and it's, you know, for me, I'm one of those pyro guys. I like to shoot off a firework every now and then. But
I'm the same way. I love it.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it.
But I understand, you know what? and I feel for some of those the firework vendors out there. It doesn't look like it's slowed down business, at least on this side of the state, and we have been fortunate with a little bit more moisture. But I'm going to get into that after I let you go here in a minute. Give them the details one more time. When does the parade start? People want to plan ahead. Give yourself time. Get there early. Give all the details one more time for me, Marlo.
You bet. So the streets actually close down. Main Street closes down at 7:30 a.m. We have a 5K run right on Main Street starting at 8 a.m. And it's a run walk. So if people want to come out and take advantage of that, that's fantastic. That has been a growing event, and I highly encourage it. It's a lot of fun. At 9 o'clock, we have the street festival, a lot of music, a lot of characters will be out roaming the streets. At 10 a.m., the classic car parade starts. We expect a few hundred classic cars in that. And then at 10:10, the grand parade starts, and then it all should wrap up about noon.
So full morning, but you know what? It's one of those that after the last year, people are going to say, you know what, we got to go out. We can't miss it. It's one of the things that, once you were not able to partake in, maybe we took advantage of this sort of thing. Now that it's back, don't take advantage. Get out and enjoy it, ladies and gentlemen. Marlo,
really I always come out and enjoy it. Yeah.
I always appreciate your time, Marlo. You take care. Have fun.
You take care.
All right, I'll do the same. Happy 4th of July to you. Marlo Anderson, Mandan, get on out there. There's a parade. There's so many more activities going on. Folks, 4th of July, our Independence Day. It's that time to celebrate. It's the middle of summer. I know it's time to relax. We do have some more heavy issues that we do got to get into. A former Minneapolis police officer was sentenced earlier this week. The city of Fargo is going to go to court with the state of North Dakota over firearm sales out of homes. That's all coming up. But I want to just continue this conversation because it is such a big holiday coming up for us over this weekend. And many of you might have this week off. In fact, maybe you've taken next week off as well. You accumulated those vacation days. Fireworks. As I've been saying, if you're like me, I like to shoot them off. But with this drought going on, is it the wisest thing to do? Beth Hill, she's with the North Dakota Forest Services. She's going to be joining us about the conditions. Drought, what you should consider if you are one of those that wants to shoot those off. Beth Hill is going to be joining me next right here on Down the Road. Stick around.
Howdy folks, it's a Caneline Cafe. I reckon it's time you'll do for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Caneline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha.
The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness.
During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark.
Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close.
Call or click now and get Night Hero binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling Atomic Beam flashlight. Just pay a separate fee. We'll even ship them to you free. This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit bynighthero.com. That's bynighthero.com. Order now.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Elmiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Elmiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Elmiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Welcome back to Down the Road. I'm Tyler Axness, filling in for Joel Heitkamp. I'll be with you again tomorrow. Joel will be back, I believe, sometime in the next few days. But I appreciate you joining us right here on Beck TV. We just had Marlo Anderson on. I know there's so many other activities that are going to be taking place wherever you got us dialed in watching this program. It's one of those times, for me, I've always looked forward to the 4th of July. I mean, I put it in my top 3 for holidays. I don't need to repeat myself there. One of the things that I've always enjoyed about is letting off those fireworks. And the thing that you know, especially if you are in one of those more severe drought-sticking areas, is you got to be a little bit more wise this year. And to consider what, in fact, might be the more responsible thing to do in letting those professionals take care of the displays this year. I know that many people will go out, they'll spend $1,000, $1,500 on those displays that they want to fire off with their families and their friends in their neighborhoods or on, their little plot of land. I get it. I understand it because you know what? It's something that growing up, that's what we loved doing and where I called home at that time as well. This year is a little different. And I know after the last year of not being really allowed to do a whole lot of things, including these mass gatherings that we are pretty much encouraging you to do to take advantage of, because you just heard all the work that goes into it. The Mandan Parade, yeah, that's a big one. That's not the only one going on. I know where I'm going to be this weekend is going to be very busy as well, and there's going to be a professional display there. I encourage you to get out, bring the family, have fun, do so safe. But if you are one, I'm not trying to say don't go purchase those fireworks on your own, because you know what? They need to make a living as well, and there are neighbors at those stands. But just use your head about it, because you know what? It's one of those items that we've got experts to describe exactly the situation going on across the state as far as drought goes and what you might want to consider when it comes to fireworks. One of those individuals joins us right now on Down the Road. Her name is Beth Hill. She is with the North Dakota Forest Services and going to explain some of the situation for us in just a moment. Beth, I appreciate you taking time today. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you taking some time. We're getting into that stretch to where on my radio show out here on the East, I was joking around yesterday. Probably a lot of people just kind of phoning it in because it is a holiday week. And people are planning, their minds are already on Saturday, Sunday, and likely on to Monday. Part of the planning of this whole thing is about, where can I shoot fireworks off? You know better than most of us how dry it is out there. Just give us the state of this current drought that is so severe across North Dakota.
Yeah, absolutely. Last I checked the drought monitor, it's released every Thursday. The entirety of North Dakota is in some form of drought. We see some areas that are getting a little relief from moisture, but we're still seeing very, very dry conditions. And with this week, we are expected to see very high temperatures. And with that, we see some drying out and just create good conditions for wildfires to start if we do have that spark. And 90% of all wildfires are caused by humans. And so everything that we can do to prevent that threat of wildfire is going to be super important, especially over this holiday weekend when a lot of people are going to be getting outside and be enjoying the great outdoors and wanting to use some fireworks. So I guess I can try to answer some questions for you.
Well, and Beth, I think you're right. And in fact, we've already had some of those fires out in the Medora area earlier this year. I mean, and I'm no expert. I'll leave that up to you to correct me if I'm wrong. But it seems like this was one of the earlier wildfire seasons that we've had in quite some time just due to this drought. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're absolutely correct. Our wildfire season technically started in January, which is kind of unheard of. And that was just because we had such a dry fall going into this winter, and we didn't have a lot of snow accumulated across the state. So we had a lot of those dry fuels, those grasses standing out in the field. And if we had, like I said, that spark to catch, it creates the perfect environment for a wildfire to start and spread. And so I think we just surpassed 100,000 acres burnt in North Dakota just for 2021, which is very unprecedented. As far as I know, we haven't had a year like that on record. And so, again, just pushing for fire prevention and education and all the things that go along with that.
Well, you almost read my mind there. I would say this has got to be one of the worst that's been recorded. I mean, I know it's been one of the worst since I've been walking around North Dakota. I've lived here my entire life. I'm curious because over the weekend there were parts of the state up in the Devil's Lake Basin that got about an inch on one day, got maybe a half inch the next day. I mean, is that relieving much at all? I mean, as far as crops go, I understand, look, you know, this is going to be an event to an event type of season for our farmers and ranchers out there. But I don't know if I can ask this if you have an answer for me, but what's the amount that we would need to really break out of this drought as far as moisture goes? Is it something that's going to be very eye-popping that I'm going to regret asking?
I don't have a good answer for you. Yeah, it's hard to tell. I know up in the north central part of the state, we're seeing what's considered D4 drought, which is the most extreme form of drought that we have on that monitor. It's going to take a lot of moisture to really get out of that and see some relief. And when we do get some spurts of moisture, that's always welcome and it's always good. We'll see a bit of green up in our pastures and in our grass from that, but things can dry out quite easily too. If we see these temperatures to continue like we have and we don't get a lot of moisture, I could see our grasses curing early, which means they dry out early. We could see an early fall season too for wildfires.
Well, now I got to ask a tough question because it is that fireworks season, and that's what a lot of people have been itching to go out and celebrate. I mean, it's one of those things. Growing up, that's what we did. We're going to leave it to the professionals this year, but let's say somebody wants to. Is there some helpful reminders you want to share with those viewers of, all right, well, if you're going to, this is what you should be prepared for and be watching for?
Yes, absolutely. First and foremost, I just encourage people to always be aware of any regulations or ordinances that are in place where you plan to light off your fireworks, making sure that you're allowed to do so. I know that I think all but 8 counties in North Dakota have some form of burn ban in effect, and there are a lot of communities and counties that are supplementing on top of that with an ordinance related directly to fireworks. And like I said, you know, wildfires can still start even despite the moisture that we've received. And I think we see an average of about 18,000 wildfires a year in the United States related to with fireworks, as well as injuries that come along with that. And so first, being aware of any burn bans, making sure you're following those. You can see your burn bans and the daily fire danger rating on the ndresponse.gov website. So whenever you're going out to go outside, I would recommend checking that and making sure that if you are planning to do any kind of burning, whether that's a campfire or lighting off fireworks, that you are in compliance with that burn ban. And if you willfully violate those burn bans, there is some repercussions to that. It's a Class B misdemeanor, which can result in some jail time and a fine. And so we don't want that. And I know it can be frustrating to not be able to celebrate the way we would like to, especially after a tough year like we've had. But I want people to trust that these decisions were not made lightly. Any restrictions that were put in place, they had a lot of thought that went into it and consultation from decision makers at that local level, just to protect not only our lives and property, but resources, capabilities like our firefighters and our first responders.
Well, and I'm glad you got to that point because you know what, a lot of them are volunteers that are out there on those fire trucks. If one does get out of control, you know what, it's your neighbors having to leave their celebration to go put that out, and let's avoid that. And I know that they are also wanting to be out there celebrating as well. Beth, I appreciate you taking time giving some of those reminders. I know we need them, even though if we don't want to have those, it's just the reality of, you know, quite frankly, 2021 in North Dakota. It's dry out there, ladies and gentlemen. You know that as well. Beth, thank you. You have a happy 4th of July, all right?
Yes, you too.
Thank you, Beth Hill. She's with the North Dakota Forest Services. I know there's a lot of you probably rolling your eyes about it because you're going to go out there and shoot them off. Just be mindful about the situation as we find ourselves in right now. There's not a lot we can do about that when it comes to the drought situation, but there is a lot we can do to prevent those unwanted wildfires that have been taking place, quite frankly, earlier than normal in North Dakota this year. Lots to get to. We're going to switch gears here. I know that 4th of July is on a lot of people's minds, but there are news events going on around the region. Derek Chauvin, former Minneapolis police officer, was sentenced on Friday. I want to know what that means going forward, especially with those federal charges. We're going to be talking with the trial attorney next. I'm Tyler Axness. Stick around to Down the Road.
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Introducing the Cool Turtle, the ultra-comfortable mask enhancer that creates a protective, cool, and breathable space between your mask and your face. Simply slide under any mask or gaiter and immediately feel the refreshing pocket of air surrounding your face. Cool Turtle's ergonomically designed, soft, comfortable shell immediately reduces mask friction, allowing you to breathe and talk in a comfortable environment.
I can actually breathe. With the Cool Turtle, no more sweating.
It's like I don't even have a mask on.
Call now and get not one, not two, but 3 Cool Turtles for just $10. Order now and we'll send you 2 more Cool Turtles free. No fees, absolutely free. Plus, you can get a 10-pack of 4-ply face masks. Just pay a separate fee. This offer is not available on Amazon. Get the real Cool Turtle now.
Call 1-800-270-1219. That's 1-800-270-1219. Or visit getcoolturtle.com. Order now.
We're the ladies of Another View, bringing you a fresh view on local issues.
Thank you for your patience and understanding.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that the most condescending, rude email you've ever received?
Well, welcome to
National
the third term of a certain president. I really believe that.
And different perspectives you won't get on the mainstream media. Watch us weekday afternoons at 4:30 Central Time on Beck News and at beck.news.
Hey Bucks fans, if you're planning an outing, birthday, or employee appreciation night, then bring your group out to the Buck Stop for a night of fast-paced, high-scoring football. Your group will receive discounted tickets, options for reserved seating, scoreboard messages, VIP services, swag, and a space to gather during the game. You can also participate in pre-game ceremonies, halftime entertainment, in-game contests, and more. Call 701-595-0771 or visit bismarckbucks.com/tickets. All GA is first come, first serve. We'll see you on the turf. Go Bucks.
Thanks for sticking around down the road. I'm Tyler Axness, filling in for Joel Heitkamp today and tomorrow evening. He'll be back in a few short days here as we do inch ever so closely to July 4th this week, and we had some conversations about that, but I got to switch gears because last Friday at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Derek Chauvin, former Minneapolis police officer, was sentenced, and the sentence came down from Judge Cahill at 22 and a half years. There's a lot to unpack here into that decision. There's about 22 pages that the judge did put out. Said, look, I'm not going to be all pomp and circumstance. I'm not going to bloviate type thing when I deliver this verbally. But there's a lot more going on when it comes to this former Minneapolis police officer. As far as federal charges that are pending, you've got some tax evasion with him and his ex-wife as well. And I wanted to visit with somebody that knew a little bit more from the legal standpoint about all this. Joining us right now is an attorney and a trial lawyer. His name is Chris Tritico, and he joins us all the way from Houston. In Fargo, North Dakota is where you find me. And I think there's probably a connection between some of our alma maters there, Chris. I appreciate you taking time on Down the Road.
You bet. Glad to be here.
So my understanding is Sam Houston State, NDSU, I mean, both now champs in the FCS college football. Congratulations, as much as that pains me to say. The one time. You get one.
Y'all can't keep winning every year. We had to succeed. This was our year.
Yeah, and it was not a cakewalk for Sam Houston to get where you were either. That playoff stretch was difficult, and you know what? They earned it. They really did.
And
so
It was a tough road, a great championship series, and a great game. It was a lot of fun.
It was. So congratulations. I know that we've had a bit of a history, our teams as well, but let's get to the task at hand here. Derek Chauvin, this has been the highest profile case in quite some time. And, you have a former Minneapolis police officer. We've all seen the videos. If you had a chance on Friday to listen to some of the comments from the family on both sides of this, from George Floyd to Derek Chauvin's mother as well. A lot of emotion into this, and the judge said 22 and a half years. Did that sentence surprise you?
It did not. I actually picked going in that he was going to get 20, and so the judge upped me by 2.5. But that I figured he was going to go around 20, and so I thought that was appropriate given their sentencing guidelines. I thought that was about appropriate.
And I'm glad you said that you found it appropriate, because being, this is our back door out here. It's just in our backyard from Fargo to Minneapolis, about a 3.5-hour drive, depending on, which route you're taking here. And it impacted not only Minneapolis, as you're aware. I mean, there's protests everywhere. And what I kept hearing from those saying, well, there's no way this could be a fair trial. That, the protests, the fear, all this that played at stake here, that's going to impact the sentencing. You're saying, no, this is quite appropriate.
So you got to look at it from several perspectives, and no doubt that it affected the entire country. And I'm a veteran of those. I represented Timothy McVeigh in the Oklahoma City bombing, and so understanding the backdrop of those and how it affects the entire country. But they in Minnesota, they have sentencing guidelines that ran this all the way down to 12.5 years. The judge granted the motion to upwardly depart on the sentencing guidelines, which he could have gone all the way up to 30 years. I think the judge understood that if he gave him 30, there was higher likelihood that an appellate court would reverse that if he went all the way to the top. And so that's why I said he's going to give him 20, because it gives the appellate court a less likely opportunity to reverse the case for the judge being too harsh and upwardly departing on the sentencing guidelines, if he gives it somewhere in the mid-range on that upward departure. And that's what he did.
So this mid-range is 22 and a half. I'm curious, in Minnesota, is Derek Chauvin going to be spending all 22 and a half, potentially more, depending on what we find out going forward with tax evasion and this federal charges? Is that all going to be spent in prison? Explain some of those guidelines, because I don't think it takes a stretch of the imagination to understand that his time in prison is going to be very different than maybe some of the others in that population.
Right, and so when you have dual sentences between the state and the federal government, let's assume for purposes of our discussion that he loses in the federal court and gets a sentence out of one of those federal cases. You have to serve all of your first sentence before you start serving the federal sentence. And so he'll have to serve the entire 22 and a half years before he's transferred to the federal system to begin serving the federal sentence. And so he'll serve all of that, then start serving the federal sentence. And in the federal system, there is no good time credit and there's no parole. And now they say that, but there is a little bit of it, because most federal prisoners serve about 85% or more of their sentence because they don't have a parole system. And so you serve almost all of whatever you get on the federal sentencing guidelines.
There's a couple of routes here I want to take, one being the federal charges that are pending and one being the appeal. I mean, there's no secret that there's going to be an appeal to this sentence, to this verdict that came down. I assume that's not going to happen overnight. There's a lot that goes into that, as far as, all right, the appellate judge will have to say, give me reasons why. Let's start there. A time frame, as far as when do you suspect that maybe that appeal will be filed?
Well, I don't practice law in Minnesota, but
sure.
Most appeals take 2 to 3 years to go through all the machinations that it takes to get them done. And in the world of COVID, everything slowed down anyway. And so I would expect that it'll take at least 2, maybe 3 years to get an answer through the appellate system there in Minnesota, to get an answer from the appellate on the appellate decisions.
Okay.
Now, what's he going to appeal on is probably going to be your next question. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a couple of issues that resonate to the top for me. And that's, why didn't you get a change of venue? And he should have gotten that, in my view. But why didn't the judge grant the change of venue? And then the other major issues are going to be surrounding the gross nature of the press that were happening around the trial, and issues of jury sequestration and why they weren't put in a hotel during the trial. Those are the two major issues I see.
Yeah, and those are the two, speaking with some other attorneys around the area, that they keep pointing to as well. And then, I mean, the judge making comment, there's some public officials that decided to, for whatever reason, show up and speak some language. And he said, look, this is something that could be used. And he just maybe gave him an opening. I just got a little bit of time left here with you, Chris. The federal charges coming. I just saw this earlier this morning, and this is out of an affiliate out of Minneapolis saying there's some rumblings of, I think, maybe a plea deal from Derek Chauvin on these federal charges, saying, all right, well, I will explain what I was doing and what that might do. Have you heard anything like that happen before?
Well, most criminal cases in the country, upward in the 90% range, most cases end up in a plea bargain. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the federal government didn't come in and say, you want to cut this down, you want to mitigate this, then come in and talk to us. We'll give you a plea. On the guidelines, on the federal sentencing guidelines, if you do that, you can mitigate your plea, you can mitigate your sentence on the federal sentencing guidelines by doing that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's now saying, well, let's see what we can do to mitigate some of this. It's not going to help him in Minnesota, but it will help him in the federal side. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he does that. I also wouldn't be surprised if he says, I'm going to go to trial now. I got nothing to lose because I got 22 and a half to do in Minnesota. I might as well roll the dice. So we'll see. But he's got a lot of trouble in the federal government, and he could do a lot of time.
Well, and 22 and a half, and now hearing this. And there was a moment, and I was surprised, and maybe you weren't, and I'll ask you that he actually spoke on Friday during the sentencing. I was under the impression that he wasn't going to say much. He did speak, and then there was a unique thing. He's saying, well, I don't want to give any formal comments because there's going to be more information. Do you suspect this might be part of that?
Well, it could be, but what's he going to say? I mean, and if he's listening to his lawyers, the apology was the right thing to do. But then to leave this hanging, there's more for me to give you, but don't either do it or don't. But the apology, he should have apologized and stopped. But to leave everybody hanging with, I've got more to say, but I can't tell you. I'll tell you later. There is no later, buddy. It's right now, and he should have done it.
Yeah, well, and that's why I suspect maybe this is it, but I'm no attorney. I leave that to you. I don't play one on TV either. Chris, I appreciate you taking time. Is there anything else you want to get out about this trial? As you said, appropriate, changed aspects of law enforcement, the judiciary across the country. Final word goes to you. I got about a minute left.
I think you've covered everything. All I got to say is, look, go Bearcats. We're going to be back. We'll see you next year.
I was worried that you're going to make me regret giving you the last word. You know what? I'll take that. Hopefully down in January, I'll come down there again. We'll be in Frisco together, all right?
I'd love to. We'll see you.
Chris, I appreciate you taking time. Folks, this was one of those, you saw it play out across every outlet, whether it was social media, their television here, on radio. The entire country was talking about this trial. And you can say now that this 22-and-a-half-year sentence has been brought down, that, okay, we can move on. It's far from over. They're going to be an appeal. You're going to have the federal charges. There are other officers that are still waiting to find their fate that were there on that day. This is right in our backyard, though, so that's why we have got to cover it and wrap it up for you. And to wrap up down the road, we're going to be visiting with John Strand. He's a Fargo City Commissioner. North Dakota state law changed when it comes to firearm sales in local jurisdictions. We'll talk about why Fargo is suing the state over that next.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money. So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Go for Launch 2018 series winner. Without further ado, it is my honors. Reginae. The winning team is the Flumin River Excellent.
Oh my God!
They won!
Welcome back to Down the Road. I'm Tyler Axness, filling in for Joel Heitkamp. I'll be with you again tomorrow night. We'll talk a little bit more about this drought and some other things going on. But this was a legislative session year in North Dakota. We don't have them every year. You're well aware of that. But there's some interesting changes that happened, I think, in years prior to this year in particular that would not have passed the legislature. The makeup's different, you're well aware, but one thing that just drives me wild watching campaigns that then transition into legislative sessions is all this talk about local control and what the local jurisdictions are allowed to do within their realm of zoning and other things. The state lawmakers always campaign saying, you know, local control is best. Stay out of the way if you're the federal government. Stay out of the way if you're the state legislature. What your neighbors know what's best for you. And then they go out and say they know what's best when they push the button to change the law. That happened this time in a number of ways. And I'm not going to run through all of them because there is one in particular that the city of Fargo has decided, you know what, we're not going to just allow the state to dictate what we can do within our city limits. And that has to do with some zoning when it comes to selling of certain products outside of one's home. They're taking the state to court to say, you know what, I think we have the proper jurisdiction. I want to know more about it. And to help me understand a little bit more is a Fargo City Commissioner. His name is John Strand, and he joins me right now here on Down the Road. Commissioner Strand, how are we doing?
I'm well, Tyler, and it is so nice to be here in person and not be Zooming and or telecalling in and back to real life.
I agree. I appreciate you taking time to do just that because the last year has been very different for all of us to have to try to interview and visit with people about topics like this, to where, I mean, there's a lot going on here. There's the state of North Dakota, and it was a Fargo, West Fargo representative that actually introduced this. I think it was Ben Koppelman, representative from that area, said, all right, when it comes to people being able to sell ammunition and guns from inside their home, no local jurisdiction can prevent that. The city of Fargo has had that rule for 20 years.
That's right.
And now you're defending it in court, is my understanding.
You know, we are, and this isn't a Second Amendment issue. This isn't about gun rights and your ability to own and have guns and so on and hunt. This is about what do you want next door in your neighborhood. What kind of businesses and what kind of activity, what type of culture do you want in your neighborhood? And our Fargo leaders decided 2 decades ago that there were types of things they didn't want in our neighborhoods, like stripping businesses, adult entertainment, dog grooming and dog kennels, a mechanic shop. You won't be able to open a garage next door to your neighbors, or a mortuary, or dispatch center, or gun shops. And that was a community standard. Fargo's the only city in the state that had that type of a zoning land development code criteria in place. So what the legislature did was focused on Fargo. And they said, Fargo, you don't have the right to do that. We're going to strip you of the ability to choose to do that in your neighborhoods. And that we take issue with that.
And now we're going to court. Because, as you said, I mean, this has been going on. City being the only one in the state of North Dakota that had this ordinance, this zoning, is basically what we're talking about.
It's a zoning issue.
Yeah, and this will be balled up that as well. No, it's an anti-Second Amendment, but you just rattled off a number of other businesses that are included.
It's a type of businesses that are allowed in your neighborhood. Now, if people in the Bismarck, they can do what they want for the state, but they say they want local control, but they're picking and choosing that selectively. My days on the farm, it tells me it depends on whose bull is being gored, kind of a thing. You can't have it both ways. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. There's a million sayings that say what they did is wrong, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to the law that was changed, as I said, you just rattled off a number of other things that are not allowed within City of Fargo ordinance. Was this just entirely saying firearms?
Firearms only.
So it had nothing to do with pet grooming?
Oh, nothing at all.
So,
our governor not long ago declared that North Dakota is a Second Amendment sanctuary state. And this is the type of behavior with stand your ground laws, with conceal and carry everywhere, with all the openings up. And then they've told Fargo, no, you do not have the ability to decide that gun sales can't happen in your neighborhood. And I don't know where this will go, but the state routinely questions the federal government. They have lots of litigations between different branches of government, between the legislature, for example, and the governor's office. I don't think there's anything egregious about the city of Fargo saying, we believe this is what the citizens want. We believe under Home Rule Charter we have the constitutional authority to zone our neighborhoods the way we choose to. You don't have zoning authority in Fargo, but you're choosing to impact ours. I think we have a leg to stand on at least.
Well, and that's what's going to be interesting is where the line is drawn in jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Take aside what the firearm argument versus the pet grooming, whatever business it is. I mean, the legislature chose this one industry in particular of where that line is drawn to where a city or a township or a county can say, well, look, this is what we allow, this is what we don't want. That's that local control aspect. I'm curious the process. It was earlier this week the city of Fargo decided, all right, we're going to court. Do you know what's the process that we should be watching and following along?
My sense is it will move pretty quickly because the state's law will kick in August 1. So we will initiate a legal action, I'm anticipating, to question the statute that the ordinance that the state passed, House Bill 1378. And so my guess is this will unfold quickly.
Well, and August is going to be here before I know it. We're already getting into July here. Well, this is interesting. Again, I know there's people out there going to be, because it is one of those hot button issues. It's guns, and it's one of those things that people get emotional about.
Tyler, I grew up with guns.
I'm a gun owner.
I grew up with guns. I don't have guns right now, but I grew up with them. I had 2 of my 4 brothers were federal firearms license holders. This is not something I'm unfamiliar with. However, am also familiar with the mindset of people, like what do they want in their culture of their neighborhood. And I think that's something we need to give credence to. What do they want next door to them?
Well, and I think the resolution, aside from having a state legislature coming and saying this is what cannot be allowed at the city level or township level, or whatever jurisdiction you live in, we have elections for that. And if you want to have that change within your jurisdiction, you can elect people that would vote to change that ordinance.
Yeah.
But it's been on the books for 20 years. So, in other words, I think the city of Fargo residents has decided that this is the way of which we want our community to be.
I think that's where they're at. my guess is it's a 60-40 split. There's about 40% who say, no, who cares? And I think the bulk of the people will say, no, good for you. Thank you for stepping up and defending our rights to self-define.
Before I let you go, there was another action here, and I've only got a couple of minutes left. It was just last night that the hate crimes bill passed. Explain some of what that entails for us.
Well, you know, in the legislature, they've preempted like plastic bags discussions. They tried to preempt discussions about rental registries. You know, they wouldn't pass. We're, I think, the only state in the country probably without hate crimes protections for at-risk people. So absent action at the state level, Fargo did it. And my message to people in these little rural parts of North Dakota, if you live in a part of the state where you don't have leaders that honor your dignity and your personhood, move to Fargo. We'll protect you. We'll stand up for, we'll at least say, some people say, oh, this won't stop hate crime. No, it probably won't. But it tells you if you do it, we're not going to tolerate it. It tells us if you do it, you're going to be held accountable for it. It tells the people at risk, we're trying to protect you as best we can, and this is the highest standard we can. So yes, we have hate crime, bias crime protection in place, and thank goodness.
Very good. John, I appreciate you coming in. I'm out of time this week. I could talk to you about a whole other slew of things going on, but we'll do that for next time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Tyler.
John Strand, he's a Fargo City Commissioner. Got some more thoughts on that, but I tell you what, 65 years ago today was the signage of the interstate system, infrastructure. We talked a lot about that the other time I was on. Got some more thoughts because there's been some developments. Bipartisanship, compromise, is that still a thing we can talk about? Well, I'll give you all the latest on that going on in Washington next. I'm Tyler Axness. You are following along on Down the Road. Stick around.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? After all, a visit to the dentist can easily cost $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree Dental Card is now available in your area. Call now and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree Dental Card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree Dental Card. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and show your Carefree Dental Card, you save $525. The Carefree Dental Card is just $15.95 a month, so call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-416-5739 to receive your Carefree Dental Card information kit. 1-800-416-5739. Call now.
I can't say enough good things about these nano hearing aids.
Real people talking about nano hearing aids.
The hearing quality is great.
Until now, hearing aids used to be too expensive for the average person. Until nano. Call now and you'll get your nano hearing aids for only $297. You'll save $100. When you buy one hearing aid, Nano will give you a second hearing aid free. Call right now.
1-800-213-3815.
Spas, etc.
You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you could pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Elmiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Elmiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Elmiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
We're on the final stretch of Down the Road. I'm Tyler Axness. Thanks for sticking around. We do have more program tomorrow. I'll be back in this chair taking you a stretch further as we get closer to July 4th. Enjoy your Independence Day. Go out, celebrate. But on this date, 65 years ago today, President Eisenhower signed into law a bill that created the interstate highway system. And here we are in 2021 fighting over infrastructure and the lack of an investment in the critical areas that you know need to be improved upon. You drive on those roads, whether they're your township roads, county roads, all the way to the state, and of course the interstate system, of which was signed into law 65 years ago. Bridges. There are so many needs out there, yet nothing has really been getting done. Because you know just as well as I do, it's come down to partisanship. And that's why last week I was happy to see in front of the White House 10 senators, 5 Republicans, 5 Democrats, and the President of the United States and Joe Biden come out and say, look, we got a deal. And it's less than what I wanted. It's more than what they wanted to give. The word compromise was thrown out. One that we haven't heard in quite some time when it comes to Washington politics. Compromise to get something done that would benefit you and I, whether you're a Republican, Independent, or Democrat. It's something you know that we need to get done. And right now, that bipartisan agreement is kind of on the rocks. And I'll admit that I think Joe Biden might have stepped in it just a couple hours after that, but he's walked it back, and I do not want that misstep to be the excuse used by our delegation to vote against something that they know is going to be good for you and I, to get the product from the field to the market and then to be utilized across the country. Agriculture, energy, all of it. We need the investment. And I don't want this little stumble to be the excuse, because there always seems to be an excuse found when you don't want to give the other side a win. This shouldn't be one side versus another. This is a bipartisan framework to get something good done finally after all these years. 65 years ago, the interstate system, it was the largest investment at the time, something that we all rely so much on now. In 2021, can't we think a little bit bigger on that next step and to have bipartisan support, compromise to get something done? I'm urging you, contact your delegation, tell them that we need their support on this bill. We need something done. I don't want to just all this, well, I would have voted for it, but, and then to show up to the ribbon cutting when it does become law because other people stepped up to vote the right way for what we need in the United States of America, including right here in North Dakota. Call Congressman Armstrong, call Senators Hoven and Kramer, say, look, can we get your support on this one? Because you know these township roads, if you travel the state, are pretty beat up. Folks, that's it for me today. I'm Tyler Axness. I'm going to be back again tomorrow. We got plenty more to talk about what's going on in the area. I do appreciate you joining me on Down the Road. It has been good riding with you. Until next time, you take care of yourselves. I'll check in tomorrow night.